Hello, good morning, everybody. We have I think, interesting discussion after I'm sure it's a challenging exercise for Barbara to do this report and try to find this interesting commonality and differences between the different 5 capitalized projects. So today in this webinar, we have a suggested setting, and then we can, if you have other suggestions, please let us know. So in the beginning, we will have a presentation for Barbara between 20 to 30 minutes if it needed. And then after that, we will have a feedback and response from the 5 capitalized projects to share with us their thoughts and idea about the findings and results from this extended research and extended collaboration between among the different collaboration. And then after that, we will have kind of a group discussion after a reflection from the 5 capitalized projects. We will have kind of a open discussion to share thoughts and idea and to highlight maybe the learned experience from to highlight the learned thoughts and ideas from this report. So because I don't want to talk a lot about the report, I'm going to give the floor to Barbara Dawood to share with us her findings.
Dr. Sabah, if you allow me, sorry, Barbara. At An-Najah University, I would like to welcome you on our 3rd webinar, and Happy New Year, because it's first of our meeting in this new year. Hope, as Dr. Samah mentioned, it will be a fruitful meeting and discussions for today, and hope to see you all face-to-face in Amman. Thank you, Dr. Samah. Please, Barbara, go ahead. Sorry.
Thank you, Dr. Imad. Thank you, Dr. Samah. Very happy to see you all today. So basically, okay. I hope you don't mind if I turn off my video in order to share my screen, and I'll hit the presentation. Good morning, Lorenzo.
Good morning, Barbara, and good morning to everybody.
I think Fadia, Barbara need to share screen if
yes, if that is possible.
She
can.
Yeah. It's open, you can change.
I tried to. Can you please confirm if you... Could you please give me feedback on whether my screen is shared?
No, we can't. Do you like to send the presentation to Fadia or me, and then we can share it for you if you like?
Samah, the problem maybe she opened it now.
It's open. It's open.
Try
Please
again.
click on the share screen button.
It's done. Hang on just a second, please.
Yes, please.
I am sharing the screen, but it's not.
Sorry, you should.
Yes.
Now, yes. Now.
We're there? Okay, fantastic.
But you have to double click on.
Double click to enter the full screen mode, please.
Yes.
Yes, perfect. Please do it in the large mode.
Sure.
Oh, this book, because it's in PDF format. Maybe.
Okay. Is it? Do you prefer I take a PowerPoint format? Is it better?
You have it in the PPT format.
Yes, of course. Let me just do that. Hang on.
Yes, Barbara, thank you.
Oh, God. Is that viewable for you?
No, not yet.
Please close the previous folder, close share folder and open a new one.
Okay, what's happening here?
Then over.
Yes, it's okay now.
Yes, F5, please.
Do you see the presentation?
Yes, yes. The slideshow, please. Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. Perfect.
Great.
Barbara.
Great.
Perfect.
I'm turning off my video and I'm just for practical purposes, for internet purposes in Lebanon. Okay, perfect. So, good morning, everyone. I had the pleasure and the honor of producing this comparative study for Oxfam Italia in the framework of the MedRiSSE project. So, just a second, there it is. So, as you probably know, I'm guessing most of you have read the study. So the overall objective of the study was to analyze through the lens of the 5 capitalized projects, the co-production and social innovation dimensions across these projects, their drivers, the challenges that were encountered by the projects, and the lessons learned from these projects. So I grabbed the opportunity to thank each and every one of you who helped me out on this study, who was a key informant on this study and who supported my research. So, as I was saying, the idea was to, the point was to deliver, was to deliver a comparative study across these projects, as I said, in order to feed into policy advocacy tasks within the MedRiSSE project. So these projects were looked into from several viewpoints, but I have to remind you, I would like you to bear in mind that the projects were very diverse. Some of them are still ongoing, actually. I believe MedTOWN and More Than a Job are still ongoing. So they were very diverse. They were implemented in different contexts. They tackle a diversity of social issues and a lot of challenges. And they involved a broad range of stakeholders, which made them a very interesting research, let's say, sample. So the approach that was adopted for the study quite rapidly was a mix of scholarly research, so desk research on whatever was already published on the topic, the project publications, hands-on experience that was delivered by the implementers and the stakeholders of the project and whom I interviewed. The report structure was based on, let's say, 4 big sections. So first of all, the report framed the social and solidarity economy, its concepts, its values, its principles, because as you definitely all know, the SSE is at the core of co-production and social innovation practices. So it was important to first frame the SSE. It was a necessary preliminary to mitigate ambiguities to the best possible extent and support project-derived conclusions on the importance of supporting SSE development. Now, second, the study focused on participatory service models that are co-production and social innovation, bridging between the concepts and the experience derived from the projects. Third, I worked on identifying co-production and social innovation in the 5 capitalized projects and analyzed their determinants, the practices that they entailed, and the practical challenges that were faced. And lastly, the study concluded the study presented the findings, cross-cutting issues and practices that that came out of the 5 projects, and that can be potentially adopted and adapted to foster efficient public SSE partnerships and disseminate or replicate practices that can deliver impact in the future. So I would like to move on and say a few words about some of the transversal elements that came out of the project. So the projects tackled a range of experiences, showcasing more or less extensive collaboration with the local authorities. You probably all know that because you're all involved. The projects tackled co-production and social innovation from the perspective of various development topics that crossed from poverty to unemployment, including social inclusion, women empowerment, youth employment, support to entrepreneurship and small business development, formal and informal businesses. So it was a broad, let's say, a variety of topics that were tackled by the 5 projects that were considered. All of the 5 projects intervened at the micro and or meso level and or macro levels, involving actors at every level. And that was particularly interesting to investigate. The projects impacted all of and beneficiaries, communities, SSE agents, public authorities, support organizations for the social economy and ecosystems in general. The projects produced lessons and pathways for future action in terms of developing partnerships, and obviously I will be talking about that later on. Now, in a couple of words, what is co-production? This is just the theory of it. So there's a widening gap between growing social needs in the world and under-resourced, sub-efficient public sectors, which has led to a need for participatory public service delivery models involving stronger connection between the public sector and the third sector agents for greater efficiency and greater impact from a social viewpoint. So co-production models that were presented in the study emphasize mainly citizen involvement at various levels. So we're talking about initiation of collective action, co-design of policy, co-design of services, co-implementation, co-management, and co-assessment of these services. Co-production models present a big number of challenges, obviously, and this was perfectly translated in all of the projects that I have interviewed, project implementers whom I have interviewed, but mainly the theory highlights tensions between the different logics of the different partners involved, power asymmetries that can be actually exacerbated in the absence of an institutional framework, and with implications on conflict resolution mechanisms, etc. And the extent of local authority, autonomy, the weight of the welfare state, the role of the SSE actors, their recognition, the role of the citizens in decision processes, all of those are key challenges to co-production models, and they were perfectly clear across the projects that were considered. Now, social innovation is a co-production plus concept. Social innovation refers to the design and implementation of new solutions that imply conceptual, process, product, and organizational change, which aim to improve the welfare and well-being of individuals. So basically, in a way that would otherwise not be possible through mainstream public or private delivery mechanisms. The innovative dimension can relate to change in concept, in process, in new products, in the organization, the financing, and the relationships between stakeholders. So basically, it's a co-production model with a plus of innovation, put simply. So social innovations are social in both their process and their results. They meet social needs while building on new relations between stakeholders that did not previously collaborate. The sustainability of social innovation is conditional, according to the theory, is conditional upon a spirit of openness and the clear policy framework that supports the existence and the achievements of the partnership that is conceiving and developing the practical solution that will deliver impact. So now I had to the projects and the links that I have made between in the study between the publications, the theory, the desk research, and what the projects have encountered on the ground. I will skip going into the details of every project, but basically a few words about each of the 5. First of all, across projects, it's very important to note that the context is one of weak social service schemes that is typically conducive to co-production initiatives, let's say to the deriving or to the importance of co-production initiatives in such contexts. MedUP is maybe, excuse me. So MedUP is focused on building enabling ecosystems that foster social entrepreneurship through micro, meso, and macro interventions. Now, the approach of MedUP is one that promotes public-private dialogue, capacity building, and networking across stakeholder categories, involving also the academia and supporting social enterprises and CISOs with definitely awareness raising at the public level in order to ensure public rally. The iESS project based in Tunisia is actually offered the experience of the multi-service, multi-stakeholder territorial support center that they named CITES in order to promote and incubate social enterprises. And the CITES model can consistently be earmarked as a social innovation, as it is the result of a collaboration between the SSE sector and the public sector, and it has direct and indirect social and economic impact. Not to mention that the CITES model has a built-in replicability, let's say, factor that can lead to a network, to replication, and to a network of similar organizations around the Mediterranean. iESS project has also worked indirectly on advocacy of the then-born SSE law in Tunisia. Tunisia and Spain are the only contexts where MedRiSSE projects were implemented and that have framework laws for the SSE. Although the one in Tunisia has not been, there hasn't been an implementation decree yet for the Tunisian law. Now, More Than a Job was set up to adapt success, actually focuses on adapting successful foreign experiences to inspire local co-production initiatives that target the education and employment of refugees and vulnerable communities. Their approach is to support local projects inspired by successful experiences identified around the world and that foster partnerships between those social enterprises born from international inspiration and the local public authorities. the project emphasizes the potential impact of these sub-projects, as they are called, by connecting them with a range of international stakeholders through an information dissemination and networking portal that was set up by the project. RUWOMED, which goes a little bit farther in time, is a women empowerment project where women were empowered through fostering cooperative production models and upskilling for fair trade labeling ultimately. So although RUWOMED does not present per se a partnership between the public and the social enterprise sector, the SSE sector, there is a direct linkage upstream with the concept of co-production. Actually, the empowerment of a key constituent of society, which is women actually, is an enabling factor for greater, more efficient involvement of vulnerable communities in influencing upstream social policies and in influencing the way social services are provided. Not to mention that cooperatives are built on SSE values and principles, and RUWOMED has set up cooperative work between women for reaching their, let's say, international commerce goals. Last but not least, the project MedTOWN focuses on awareness raising, capacity building of SSE agents, introduces SSE produced IT instruments, partnering with local public authorities in order to co-produce social policies and implement them in an attempt to reduce poverty and inequality and social exclusion in the countries of implementation. Now, MedTOWN is very much focused on a participatory approach with the local authorities, obviously, but it also brings in this innovative factor that is the launching, that is actually embodied by the launching of social innovation demonstrative actions, as is the case of a local digital currency that is intended to distribute financial aid to vulnerable communities, while at the same time supporting small local businesses. The model was implemented, or at least there was an attempt to implement it in Spain, namely. Other demonstrative actions were in preparation when the study was prepared in Jordan and, if I'm not mistaken, in Greece. MedTOWN also set up the community of practice as an open source tool for information dissemination and the professional referential. And the COP has been taken over, if I'm not mistaken, by the MedRiSSE project and for sustainability purposes, and is ongoing today and is a very interesting platform. Now, I come to the findings. Sorry, checking the time. I come to the findings of the project. In terms of factors that were conducive or not to co-production models or to co-production, let's say, appetite in the implemented context. So, excuse me. So, project design components, several of the projects have incorporated components at the level of design that were in favor of co-production. All of them had an advocacy component, and all of them had a multi-stakeholder and a holistic approach that is very much in favor of collaboration between stakeholders to various extents, and some leading it to more institutional forms, while touching on all of the micro, the meso, and the macro levels. this holistic approach sets greater chances of success not across project, but within a project, especially if the projects spread over a long enough time frame for building collaboration between stakeholders. So the time dimension is important as well. Projects have also shown that the public policy setting is key. Weak or strong public policy, the extent of the welfare state, the availability of resources, the existence or not of a legal framework, whether it's weak or whether it's strong and comprehensive, the cultural background, the type of public governance, the existence of political power struggles, all of these factors explain why a public sector can be a facilitator of co-production, or whether it can be actually very challenging to partner with the public sector for public policy issues in the framework of a project. All of you practically whom I interviewed have highlighted the importance of trust in the SSE public sector partnership. Now, across projects, trust was pinpointed as the main challenge in the way of co-production initiatives that were set up. Several projects have resorted to agreements in order to ink the partnership between the SSE and the public sector. And all of you have also highlighted, and I do not know if Hala from the CITES of An-Najah is with us, but the human factor, Hala had very much highlighted the importance of the human factor in establishing trust between stakeholders. And it was very interesting to listen to her talking about the sustainability, the importance of the human factor in the sustainability of the An-Najah CITES in Tunisia. Now, other cross-cutting elements that came out of project investigation were the buy-in of local authorities that was presented as a major challenge and that was identified as a major challenge. So beyond trust, public entities are usually enthusiastic for cooperation with projects. However, they are reluctant with cooperation with SSE organizations, especially when there is a financial component to the partnership and where the specter of competition regulation could be leveraged against them by the private sector. This issue came up on several projects. Let's say, pressure that could be brought by the private sector going against being a barrier to co-production initiatives. It is obvious that adaptation to the local context was brought up by all project participants, by all project stakeholders. It is not automatic to replicate any initiative that would be successful somewhere and just replicate it somewhere else without a very deep, let's say, adaptation to the local context and to the local givens. Gender advocacy also was identified as key to co-production models. There's a key role played by women in society, and women empowerment indirectly drives greater implication in public policy and greater contribution to public policy, which is the basis of co-production models. excuse me, social enterprises and other SSE actors, their recognition by the legal framework is also key to co-production models. A recognized legal status is a sound starting point for SSE and co-production. Otherwise, it can be a challenge for projects to implement the partnerships that underlie co-production and social innovation models. Also, the formal recognition of the SSE actors can be a very, let's say, conducive factor in helping a transition into the formal sphere. So the legal framework for SSE can be an enabling factor of co-production and generate greater inclusion, less marginalization, and a formalization of whatever businesses and activities and social activities that can be informal, spontaneously, let's say, and be taken into the formal sphere through legal recognition. So the legal recognition of the solidarity and social economy is a great ingredient for the sustainability of a social action, and obviously for the sustainability of a co-production or social innovation action. Sorry, I skipped two. Very important are the implementing organizations and the local partners who are key for perpetuating any co-production initiative and its sustainability. They are an anchor for transformative action, and they are a key player for sustaining a trend in the aftermath of projects in terms of sustainability, of replication, and definitely in terms of very needed advocacy efforts that have to be continuous beyond project lifespans. Last but not least, demonstrative actions that are experimental actions have the potential to influence public policy. And the recognition of such demonstrative actions in terms of recognizing the outcome, the object of the co-production, in terms of recognizing or institutionalizing the approach, the participatory approach itself, and the role of SSE organizations in social dialogue are critical if we need to move one step forth in co-production initiatives. So this was particularly brought up and identified within the MedTOWN project that has a series that showcases a series of demonstrative actions that were actually very much challenged by the public authorities in their respective implementation contexts. I don't want to stay much longer. I would like to conclude on the way forward. So, beyond project achievements, promoting co-production and social innovation is first and foremost about creating and sustaining a momentum for change. This change is in mindsets as well as in design and delivery of social policies, but it's first and foremost in mindsets. Co-production is the outcome of a process. The success of this process relies on continuous advocacy action on a multitude of fronts. This is one of the main outcomes of the research done on the cross-cutting elements within the 5 MedRiSSE projects, and it is key to pave the way forth for more institutionalized partnerships between the SSE and the public sector. Now, as I was saying, there is much room and need for progress from a policy perspective. We need enabling and availing frameworks. They are key to identify opportunities for potential partnerships between the SSE and the public sector. So nurturing co-production and social innovation necessitates progress at the policy level. There is obviously a time dimension to that, as let's say advocacy requires time, acting on mindsets and mindset shifts requires time. But that is already instigated by the 5 projects under MedRiSSE. Areas of intervention in terms of advocacy are numerous. The legal frameworks come on top of the list. There is need for recognition of the SSE, for fostering of the SSE, for institutionalizing the involvement of SSE organizations in the framework of national or local participatory approaches for social dialogue. There is need for active involvement in social dialogue spaces that can take the shape of advisory bodies, for instance. Public procurement laws are also a big issue. The extent of decentralization in terms of public decision making. There is a lot to be done for removing institutional obstacles to co-production. There's also need to create room for experimenting. Regulatory sandboxes, the need for regulatory sandboxes was brought up by the MedTOWN project, calling for legal recognition of social innovation initiatives. At least before legal recognition, at least space for trial and error in order to find the right social solution before it is institutionalized. Institutionalizing co-production in policy design through participatory approaches and establishing bodies at the heart of the public administration to oversee the policy object are also issues where advocacy will be and is necessary today in order to move forth. Also important to underline is the contextualization, which is critical for conducting efficient policy advocacy. You cannot just have cross-country, let's say, methods of advocacy or approaches to advocacy. And this is where local partners play a central role, because they know the field, because they know the culture, because of their background, because it has been highlighted by the projects that you cannot just set up a project and start implementing it in terms of co-production without really knowing the context you are operating in, without working with people who know the field and who have a feel of the field and who know the background of the people and the culture and the communities that will be touched by the project. So this is where I come to rallying the local communities. A big deal of awareness raising is critical for moving on with co-production models. Rallying the local communities around social challenges, around the importance of SSE, around public SSE partnerships, around their involvement through SSE into public policy are key. And this takes us to the last but very important factor, which is the human factor. that I mentioned earlier, the human factor remains unequivocally central. It is key to implementation, it is key to project design, it is key to rallying stakeholders, it is key for awareness. It has, we cannot go around it for mobilization of public opinion, of public sector actors. The human factor remains central. A great deal of the success of an initiative relies on the human factor, relies on personal relationships between stakeholders and the hands-on understanding of context, of culture, of how to operate, and the tact needed to break down barriers only derives from the human factor. And I thank you very much.
Thank you, Barbara, for this interesting and challenging report you have presented for us. I think you tackle many issues, and I mean, it's impressive how you find the cross-cutting among the 5 different projects and the commonality and other things. I don't know if anyone wants to make a quick reflection on what you have heard, and then we will move to something else. Anyone want to say anything?
Yes, maybe Barbara, if you can add more details about the social innovative ideas in each project. I mean, as a matrix, you can put in your report as a matrix, which are the social innovative ideas in each project and the cross-cutting between all these innovative ideas. It's suggestions, up to you, of course.
Dr. Imad, I am just a quick remark on that. Not all of the 5 projects, and this was a big challenge actually for me, not all of the projects have the same intensity, let's say, in terms of co-production initiatives and social innovation. At various levels, they have all set up partnerships with the local authorities, and to various extents, they have succeeded. Yet, if you are talking only about social innovation, which is a very specific term, and I felt the need in the report, which you might have read, to work on the definitions and the understandings of those concepts, those concepts that are co-production and social innovation, and the thin line that actually could separate co-production from social innovation, which is this, what I call the co-production plus factor, which is the innovative part of it. So social innovation per se, if we refer to the theory, basically was only tackled by the MedTOWN project, which has worked on different different tentative/demonstrative actions in different contexts, trying to work with the local authorities and the SSEs, the local SSE community, in order to produce tools, IT tools, that would help either redistribute wealth or help out certain communities, vulnerable communities, or reach out to small businesses, to produce a momentum in terms of social and in terms of economic, through IT tools that would be operated, let's say, with the blessing of the local authorities. Frankly, the report has only identified those experiences as being really socially innovative. The rest of the experiences derived from the project are more of co-production initiatives where the public sector or gives its blessing, very simply, or contributes to fostering, let's say, social initiatives implemented by the SSE sector. I hope I have answered your question.
But you could define the, like, kind of, even if some projects they didn't use the term co-production or social innovation, but it was, I mean, at some point I could see that you tried through the report to define how the different projects have done that.
Exactly. So there's, what I try to do is bridge between let's say the outcome of the desk research, because a lot of economists and social experts have published on the topics of co-production and social innovation. The projects themselves have produced very interesting publications on co-production and social innovation. And then there was the field. Exactly as you're saying, Samara. Then there was the field and the feedback of the people who had their hands in the field and who had worked on the project. And this, I tried to bridge between both in order maybe to, actually what I did is probably give more value to the outcome of the projects than the projects themselves had given, by giving names maybe and titles to whatever the projects had implemented on the ground. And that was left to, you know, that was just reported in project reports, as in progress reports or quarterlies or whatever, that did not really give focus on the importance of this partnership with the local authorities, whereas it is essential. And at the same time, that maybe had this time objective. When you're in a project, when people are implementing a project, they only usually have the time frame of the project to look forward to. And what I try to say right now from the findings extracted from the project is that creating favorable co-production mindsets and let's say contexts, it takes time, more than the time needed for a project. This is where advocacy comes in, because advocacy is a long breath effort. It's not a 6-month thingy where you do your thing and then you move on. Advocacy leaves traces from one project to another. Advocacy trickles, helps concepts trickle in people's minds, and those people stay beyond project life. The local partners stay beyond project lives. And this is where these 5 projects can leave impact for the future through whatever, let's say, heritage they will leave in the SSE community, through whatever impact they will leave in the social enterprises that they create, they helped support, in the impact that they left on the local public authorities, in whatever was started, instigated on the ground. And this is what I tried to do actually in the report, and this is what I'm trying to highlight now by saying that there is something yet to be done in terms of advocacy beyond those 5 projects.
Okay, thank you. So we will go to Julia. I think you have a contribution.
Yes, hi everybody. So basically I raised my hand because at the beginning of the webinar I was not able to connect myself, so I missed the first part, but I really would like to take the floor just to say thanks to Barbara and to highlight that this month's of work together has been really challenging, and I think we have done the best that we could and I'm really happy to be here today and here to the results. And so thank you everybody to being here, and just to try to focus a little bit the purpose of sharing the results of the research. The next step within the work package number 5 will be to identify 5 topics at country level, so a national level, to develop a policy brief. So the discussion today, I hope that will go in the direction to try to do a little bit of brainstorming together and pick from Barbara's report and results something meaningful for us and within the country, in order to work together with Oxfam to develop this policy brief. And starting from the policy brief, we will also organize together national events. So just to have this clear for everybody, just to guide the discussion in this direction. So if some of the Barbara inputs just highlight something in your mind in this direction, please share with us your feeling, your inputs, and for example, try to think what can suit better your national context, in order to try to find the topic to develop a policy brief accordingly. So just to have this framework to work together today. Sorry.
Thank you. Georgia?
Hello to everybody. Can you hear me, no? Yes. Thank you, Barbara, for your efforts in presenting this interesting study that was elaborated with the help of the Oxfam team and all of the partners in a very short time. I think we should also consider this factor. And how challenging it was for Barbara to receive information, a lot of information for 5 big cooperation projects, and identify social innovation elements. For me, it was very interesting that you made a reference on the definitions of co-production and social innovation. It was very interesting to see that social innovation, actually co-production, is a pre-requirement of social innovation. And I really liked the chart of the impact that you presented on your report.
The Stanford University model, very interesting.
Yes, very interesting. And the remark on the work that we have to do on policy advocacy. And I think that all of us within these 5 projects, we are working towards that direction. And especially the MedUP project, which is previous from MedTOWN or the rest, I think built also the ground for creating a culture around social entrepreneurship. Then we have the MedTOWN that we talk more about the collaboration between the public and the SSE actors. And I hope that all the material or the awareness that we are building will not stop in MedRiSSE, but we will continue with future projects, and we can use also part of your studies to do that. With regards to what Julia commented earlier, I'm glad that you raised the point here that from now, according to after the report of Barbara, I think that in each country we should concentrate and select some topics that we would like to focus to for the organization of the national events and the policy advocacy at national level, because in each country the context is different and the priorities are different. But in any case, we can continue also this discussion and reflect further on that on our meeting that we are having in Jordan in a few. So thank you very much.
Georgia, I'd like to thank you very much, in particular for your support. You've spent hours over the phone with me. Your support and your explanations were invaluable to this report. Thank you. Useless to thank Julia, Lorenzo, and everyone, but Georgia in particular, I know I've grounded her in the office for hours.
I know, don't say that.
Thank you for that.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Georgia. So now, if you allow me, that it will be interesting to have kind of reflection from the different projects to see what they think and what we have learned.